Hi everybody, Matthew Turnage here. Well, I mentioned a few months back that I wanted to take a deep dive into the Beach Boys catalog for the first time. And I showed the handful of Beach Boys albums I had at that time and was talking about kind of where I wanted to go next. One of my vinyl haul updates, I think it was Vinyl Haul 3, I showed several Beach Boys albums that I'd gotten at that time. I've gotten several more since then that I didn't show in any of my vinyl haul videos. I wanted to save it for one sort of Beach Boys update. So I've got a mix of CDs and vinyl here, and I've got more CDs than what I'm showing. The ones that I've previously shown the vinyl, but also gotten a CD version. I'm leaving those out just for time's sake, but I'll go through them real quick in chronological order. So first up, CD wise, I've got Surfin USA, and this is the 2012 mono and stereo remix editions. I'm really enjoying these. I've gotten several of these that I'm not showing because I'd already had the vinyl, like Surfer Girl, Beach Boys Today, etc. But Surfin USA, great early Beach Boy album. The title track, of course, Shut Down, Farmer's Daughter. Really good songs. Not one of my favorites in terms of the earliest stuff, but still enjoyable. I was glad to get this one. Next up, I've got All Summer Long. This one I really like a lot. It's got, of course, I Get Around, which has always been one of my favorite Beach Boys tracks, and Little Honda, which was always a favorite, but was not on the compilation album that for a long time was the only Beach Boys album I had. And then a song that I wasn't super familiar with until I got it, but once I got this album, I just kept going back to and back to because I just love this track. Is Don't Back Down. Great falsetto vocals from Brian in that one. Really, really strong albums. This is one of my favorites of the early Beach Boys. All right, and then some vinyl here around Christmas time. My Barnes and Noble had the Beach Boys Christmas album, the reissue of it, so I decided to pick it up and enjoyed that quite a bit through the holidays. Of course, a lot of great Brian Wilson original Christmas tunes on this one, and really nice versions of some holiday classics. It's not the sort of album you'll listen to, throughout the year, but in the holiday season, it's a good one to put on. We've got Shut Down Volume 2. This is another good album, not quite up there with some of my absolute favorite early Beach Boys albums, like All Summer Long or Surfer Girl, but we've got Fun on here, which is a classic, and one of my favorite, probably my favorite Beach Boy ballad, Don't Worry Baby. And Cassius Love versus Sonny Wilson is kind of interesting to listen to, especially these days, knowing how those two don't really get along. But this is a good album, and I do enjoy it a bit. Next, we got Beach Boys Party. Now, this one is a lot of fun. Of course, it's basically all covers. I mean, they do a sort of a not very serious medley of I Get Around and Little Deuce Coupe. But the times they are changing. They cover the Dylan track with Al singing that. That's pretty nice. The Beatles covers on here are all good. I especially like Dennis's rendition of You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Tell Me Why is good. I Should Have Known Better is probably my favorite of the Beatles covers, though. That one really comes off very well. But of course, the best track on here is Barbara Ann. All right, next up, another CD, Smiley Smile. Now, I had heard about Smile for ages, and was familiar with a few of the tracks. Heroes and Villains, of course, Good Vibrations. But I decided, as I was doing this Beach Boys exploration, of course, I was thinking, well, I need to get Smile at some point, but I thought, let me experience it the way the general audience would have. So I decided to get Smiley Smile first, and then my plan is at some point before too long, I'll get Brian Wilson Presents Smile, and then I'll get the Smile box set. Yeah, it's interesting coming off of Pet Sounds, which is so elaborate and ornate, and then you get some of that, with Good Vibrations, of course, Heroes and Villains, but also, a lot of it is a lot more stripped down from the way Brian had originally envisaged it. So it's a bit of an odd album. There's some really kind of strange stuff on there, but it's good stuff. I enjoy it. It's kind of interesting to hear them where they would go immediately after Pet Sounds, because most of this material I had not heard before I got the CD, and yeah, I think it's a good one. But it's not one of my favorites, but it's got me interested in hearing the other Smile material, both how Brian did it years later and then the sort of reconstructed version of the original. Next up, skipping ahead, I'd not heard really anything other than, of course, Kokomo after Holland until I picked this up not too long ago, Beach Boys Love You. And this is a nice copy in the original shrink. I was really interested to hear this one because I know a lot of people rate it very highly, and also because I knew that Brian does quite a bit of experimentation with synthesizers, and I was interested to hear what he would do with it, and I really like the results. Musically, it is really excellent. A lot of strong tracks on this one, but lyrically, there's some really strange songs on here. I had heard Solar System before. I'd heard it on back last summer when they had the Beach Boys channel temporarily on Sirius. I remember hearing that one day, and not sure what to make of it, but it's not the weirdest song on here, because you've got Johnny Carson, and then especially I Want to Pick You Up. I don't really know what to make of that song, but that aside, it's a really strong album musically, and I like it quite a bit. And Carl's vocals on here are amazing. I mean, he was such a gifted vocalist anyway, but that album in particular, I think he's singing really well on. And then one past it that I just got, and I mentioned this in my last video when I was talking about the last 5 artists I'd listened to, because I'd just gotten this one, Keeping the Summer Alive. Not highly rated, but I think it's a solid album. It's not going to rank amongst their best for me, but as a listen, I think it shows that they still had some gas in the tank going into the 80s. And I think the title track especially is a really strong song, and I wish Carl could have pushed them, to continue along those lines maybe. I don't know, maybe that there's a good bit of Randy Bachman influence on that track. That's why it turned out the way it did, but that track really, really appeals to me a lot. And then I've got one last one to show to you, and this one is a CD. It's not a Beach Boys album, but a solo Beach Boys album. I decided to pick up Pacific Ocean Blue after hearing so much about how good it is. And this is the 2 CD edition that also includes the Bamboo Sessions. Bamboo Sessions are good. There's some good material on there, but the main album, Pacific Ocean Blue, in my opinion, it really deserves its reputation. I really was very happy with that. Sometimes you hear about albums like that are supposed to be like underrated gems, and for me at least, sometimes they won't live up to the hype, but I felt like this one did. Some great songs like River Song, Time is one of my favorites, Pacific Ocean Blues. All the songs on here are really good. Of course, Dennis at this point, his voice is not what it was 12 years earlier, 15 years earlier, whatever. But but he's got a lot of character to his voice, and I kind of like that sort of rough, gravelly sound almost a bit. I think it suits Dennis and suits the material. And actually, there's even one or two songs on here that I thought, if I didn't know who this was, if I just heard it, without any context or reference, I would have thought it was Peter Criss singing on just one or two songs. He kind of has that same sort of scratchiness to it. But yeah, I am very, very happy with this pickup. It is a great album. So anyway, that's where I am in my Beach Boys collection. In terms of the early years now, just to kind of recap, I've got everything up through Smiley Smile except for Summer Days and Summer Nights, and that's one I'm planning on getting here pretty soon. Wild Honey is another one that's high on my list to get before too long. And then after that, kind of filling in some of the rest of the albums up through Holland, and then past that, we'll kind of see. My record store has several copies of MIU album and LA Light album, and I've been tempted to pick up one or both of those just to see if they're as bad as they seem to be. According to the rankings, sometimes, I'll kind of like to see if an album really is as bad as it's said to be. But I don't know. We'll kind of see. If you've got any thoughts on particular Beach Boys albums that I should look for next or avoid, let me know in the comments. And maybe I'll do another Beach Boys update after I get a few more. Thanks for watching.